I honestly, I wouldn't mind at this point if Caitlyn just started her villain arc. She needs to start putting her foot down because this, like, some of this stuff is getting a little wild. She comes into the WNBA, her biggest life dream to play professional basketball. She comes into the WNBA. She gets a special whistle the opposite way because she's getting fouled and flagrant fouled, and just the defense that they're playing on her is actually insane. Yet, despite all that, has an incredible rookie season. And then on top of that, people are using her name for their hidden agendas on both sides. People are just using Caitlyn's name. And then if she says something, it's not enough. If she doesn't say anything, she never wants to speak out about anything. She cannot win.
The carefully constructed dam of Caitlyn Clark's composure has finally burst. And seriously, the fallout is only beginning. The WNBA may have believed it could endlessly monetize her fame, but their biggest star is now rewriting the terms of engagement. Caitlyn's calculated comments about Commissioner Cathy Engelbert were not a mere statement. They were a declaration. So the question becomes, was this an act of insurrection or an act of survival? Clear things up before Game 1 of the finals. She held a long press conference, and let's just say it didn't help.
You've continued to express that you're disheartened by the characterization of your conversation with Nafisa Collier. Just again, seeking clarity. Did you in fact say that Caitlyn Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything? And do you actually feel that way, that without this platform, players like Caitlyn Clark wouldn't be making what they do off the court?
Yeah, obviously I did not make those comments. Caitlyn has been a transformational player in this league. She's been a great representative of the game. She's brought in tens of millions of new fans to the game. Proud of what she's put on the court. Unfortunately, the injuries held her back from a full season this year. But again, I'm not going to get into every point, counterpoint. It's not productive here. We're here to celebrate the WNBA finals. I think what Indiana just did was amazing with all the injuries they had and the everything they faced this year, bringing that to a Game 5 in overtime. But yeah, as I said, there's a lot of inaccuracies reported out there, and I certainly did not say that.
The Cold War between the players and the WNBA's front office has officially turned hot. It all detonated with Nafisa Collier's exit interview. 6 minutes of pure political theater. It completely upstaged the WNBA finals. Forget the Aces or the Mercury. The only name on anyone's lips was Collier. She leveled a direct charge against Cathy Engelbert, essentially accusing her of gaslighting Caitlyn Clark. Let's revisit the accusation. Collier claimed Engelbert posited that Caitlyn should be grateful to the WNBA, without which her endorsement empire wouldn't exist. That one sentence was the spark in the powder keg. Fans revolted. Players mobilized online. The league went into full crisis response mode. Engelbert then tried to smooth things over before Game 1, holding a major press conference that frankly only poured fuel on the fire. Understand this. The commissioner didn't just deny making the comment about Caitlyn Clark. She implied Collier's entire account was a fiction, riddled with inaccuracies. In simple terms, Engelbert publicly branded a union leader a liar on national television. That was the precise moment the situation became irretrievable. See, the critical detail is this. Nafisa Collier isn't just some anonymous player with a grievance. She is a WNBPA vice president. That means she is a central figure in the collective bargaining agreement talks that will forge the financial future and working conditions for every single player.
And at the end of the day, she's worried about her. In all of her statements, it's all like, well, I got us here and I should. And Cathy, no one cares. Literally, no one cares. Like how you're sitting right there, that's how we feel every time she speaks. Every time she speaks, us as players, that's how we feel.
So when Cathy Engelbert publicly dismissed Collier's claims, she wasn't just disrespecting an athlete. She was launching a direct assault on the players' union leadership. And that, my friends, is when Caitlyn Clark decided her neutrality was no longer tenable. Until this point, Caitlyn had been a master of diplomacy. She studiously avoided controversy. She kept her head down, focused on her craft, remained apolitical, and let the storms pass around her. But this time, when the media pressed her about Collier's interview, she delivered a line that froze the entire basketball world. She said simply, "I think Fee made a lot of valid points." A shot was fired. That single sentence created a deafening silence. It wasn't a random comment. It was a seismic political statement. Caitlyn Clark, the face and future of the WNBA, had officially declared her allegiance. And honestly, who can possibly fault her? This is the very league that has been using her name as currency to sell tickets, inflate ratings, and secure every possible brand deal. Yet at the same time, they've allowed her to be physically brutalized on the court like a gladiator. Remember those early games of her rookie season? Caitlyn was being targeted with a ferocity unseen in the league. She was shoved, hip-checked, and elbowed, and the officials remained silent. People called it physicality. But if LeBron James or Steph Curry absorbed those same hits, it would trigger a league-wide investigation. So when the commissioner gets a chance to demonstrate a commitment to player safety, and instead uses Caitlyn's name to justify the league's image, yes, you can see why Clark's patience would finally expire.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And, I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. Well, this league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think there's, Fee said it all with what she said, and, I think the points she made were very valid.
What happened next was unprecedented. Right after her press conference, Cathy Engelbert mentioned she had initiated contact with Collier for a private meeting to clear the air. But get this, before that summit could even be scheduled, Collier scuttled it. She flat out refused to engage. ESPN broke the story. Even more astoundingly, Cathy Engelbert learned this from the media, not from Collier herself. That's the level of institutional breakdown. The league's commissioner is finding out about canceled meetings from News Alert. And this is where Caitlyn Clark re-enters the chessboard. After Collier's power move, numerous players, including Caitlyn's own teammate Lexi Hall, publicly backed Collier. They said she wasn't wrong, and that leadership was dangerously out of touch. Caitlyn didn't post a long manifesto, but her actions were a masterclass in modern protest. She ceased all promotion of WNBA content. The finals went unmentioned. Instead, she methodically liked a series of fan tweets, criticizing the league's top brass. Fans immediately understood the signal, and the term Caitlyn Clark's silent protest was coined. And honestly, that's precisely what it feels like. This is not a regular disagreement. We are witnessing the biggest star the WNBA has ever produced, sending a direct threat to the league that built her platform. You cannot keep using me while disrespecting everyone around me. Now, before anyone calls this an overreaction, let's look at the bigger picture. The WNBA is mired in its most consequential collective bargaining agreement negotiation in history. Player salaries are on the line, and a lockout in 2026 is a palpable threat. Ownership groups are trying to solve the puzzle of balancing their books while paying their stars what they're worth. But there's a problem. Two of the players at the negotiating table, Napheesa Collier and Breanna Stewart, are also the architects of Unrivaled, an alternative off-season league. That's the enormous conflict of interest. If the WNBA can't get a deal, and the league goes dark in 2026, Unrivaled would be the primary beneficiary. Players would have no other option for income. So of course, owners and executives are suspicious. They believe Collier and Stewart could secretly profit if the WNBA implodes. And when the commissioner is locked in a public feud with one of them, it makes everything look even more corrupt. That is where Caitlyn Clark's true frustration is born. She's watching both sides, the commissioner and the players, weaponize her name in their private war. She's trying to train, recover, and prepare for a new season. But every single headline somehow becomes a referendum on her. She didn't ask to be drafted into this fight, but now she's at the center of the battlefield. Think about it, every storyline in this league now traces back to Caitlyn Clark. Ticket prices, TV ratings, sponsorships, even the CBA negotiations. And yet, she's being told she should be grateful for the league's benevolence. That's laughable. The WNBA needs Caitlyn Clark infinitely more than she needs them. Her games are shattering viewership records. Her jersey sales are dominating the market. Even her injured season generated more coverage than the actual finals. And still, the league has failed to protect her on the court or truly champion her off it. Fans are definitely catching on. You can feel the frustration building online from every corner of the fandom. Everyone is realizing that the WNBA possesses one of the biggest marketing gifts in sports history. And somehow, they just keep finding new ways to mismanage it. Here is the irony. Caitlyn Clark isn't even demanding special treatment. She just wants fairness. She wants to be able to play the game without the constant vortex of drama, media chaos, and politics turning her into a caricature. But every single time she tries to move forward, the league drags her right back into the spotlight. Not for her amazing talent, but for controversy. And now that quiet patience she used to have is gone. This isn't the smiling rookie. This is the veteran who's realized that keeping quiet is a losing strategy. By supporting Collier, even with a handful of words, Caitlin Clark just informed the WNBA that its authority is not absolute. And let me tell you, the repercussions are only just beginning. Players are starting to form factions. Fans are waging proxy wars online. Even former stars are chiming in, saying this might be the most embarrassing stretch in WNBA history. Meanwhile, Kathy Engelbert is still out there acting like everything's fine. She's holding sterile press conferences about player alignment and stakeholder engagement, while the league she runs is literally on the verge of a civil war. It's why just a few months ago, people were talking about the WNBA's Golden Age expansion teams, record ratings, new investors. Now they're wondering if there's even going to be a 2026 season. And let's be honest, that's not on the players. That's squarely on leadership. You can't keep dismissing legitimate player concerns and then expect them to show up smiling for media day. You can't have the most famous athlete in women's basketball feeling alienated from her own league and still expect fans to buy into the "we're one big family" marketing lie. Kathy Engelbert's denial might have been the final straw, because even if she didn't actually say what Collier claims, the fact that absolutely no one believes her says it all. Her credibility is gone, and the worst part is, it's not even about who's right anymore. It's about how terribly this whole situation was handled. The WNBA let a private disagreement become a public blood sport right in the middle of its finals. And now every headline about women's basketball isn't about who's winning. It's about who's lying. That's why Caitlin Clark's subtle but firm stance hits so hard. She's not screaming. She's not tweeting long paragraphs. She's just letting the silence speak for itself. And believe me, that silence is louder than anything Engelbert could ever say at a podium. The fans feel it. The sponsors feel it. Even ESPN anchors are dancing around it because no one knows how to spin this mess anymore. We're actually watching a power shift happen in real time. The players are realizing they don't need the commissioner's approval to have influence. And Caitlin Clark, whether she likes it or not, has just become the face of that shift. So now that Caitlin Clark has publicly sided with Nafisa Collier, the WNBA is in full panic mode. And honestly, they totally should be. When your biggest star, the person literally carrying your league's popularity, starts hinting she's losing trust in leadership, you're officially in crisis territory. Let's talk about the fan reaction first, because wow, it's been super loud. On social media, fans have turned Kathy Engelbert into public enemy number one. There are threads with thousands of comments all saying, "Fire Kathy." People are posting memes of her next to that "this is fine" dog sitting in a room on fire. It's absolutely brutal. For once, fans from both sides, Clark supporters and Collier supporters, actually agree on something. The league's leadership looks completely clueless. That's how bad things have got. Even the people who usually fight over every little thing on X or Reddit are united in saying, this is embarrassing. Now, to be fair, not everyone is blindly taking sides. Some people are saying, hey, maybe Collier should have kept this private, or maybe Caitlin shouldn't have commented at all. But here's the thing. That's kind of impossible now. When you're the face of the WNBA, silence is treated like a statement anyway. If Caitlin said nothing, people would accuse her of ignoring real issues. If she says too much, they accuse her of fueling drama. So no matter what she does, she's trapped in this impossible spot. And let's be honest, the league put her there. They made her the face of everything. They pushed her into every ad, every promo, every interview. They used her as the main character of this WNBA storyline. And now that the plot's going off the rails, they want to act surprised? Please. It's like they didn't realize that when you make one player the entire brand, you also give her the power to shape the public's opinion of the league. And Caitlin Clark is using that power, quietly but effectively. You can tell she's done trying to play nice. You can tell she's tired of having her name dragged into boardroom arguments, rival league politics, and fake empowerment speeches. She just wants transparency and fairness. And that's exactly what the fans want. Now let's talk about how this could actually affect the WNBA's future. Because this isn't just some little PR mess. This has real business consequences. The WNBA is currently negotiating its next collective bargaining agreement, the CBA that decides how much players get paid, how long the season lasts, how travel works, all of it. If these talks fall apart, and right now that's looking very possible, the league could face a lockout. That would mean no season, no games, no paychecks for players. That would be a total disaster. And the worst part is, it would happen during the biggest growth period in WNBA history. Sponsors, investors, and networks are finally interested. Attendance is up. TV numbers are hitting record high. And now, right when things are starting to click, we have this chaos. People thought the Caitlin Clark effect would push the WNBA into a new era. But with the way things are going, the league might actually fumble that completely. And Kathy Engelbert's press conferences, they're not helping. She's giving the same generic answers every time. We're listening. We value our players. We're working toward unity. You know, the usual corporate nonsense. Meanwhile, the players are tweeting fire emojis and memes about being silent. There's a complete disconnect between leadership and reality. Even some coaches have started quietly commenting on it. Stephanie White, the Indiana Fever's head coach, has defended Caitlin before and called her a pawn in other people's game. That quote aged perfectly, because that's exactly what this whole situation feels like. A giant game, and Caitlin Clark is being moved around without any say in it. The funny part, or maybe the scary part, is that the league still doesn't seem to understand how big of a deal this really is. They think this will just blow over once the finals end. Spoiler alert. It won't. Caitlin Clark has changed the WNBA's entire power structure. She's not just a player anymore. She's a brand, an economy, a one-woman media machine. And when that kind of player stops trusting leadership, the whole system shakes. Think about the timing. Collier cancels her meeting with Engelbert. Players start posting about solidarity. Caitlin sides with Collier. Then the commissioner tries to act like everything's fine, while reporters are openly asking if there will even be a 2026 season. That's not normal. That's a full-blown rebellion brewing inside the WNBA, and you can already see the ripple effects. Sponsors are nervous. Networks are asking questions. Even NBA executives are starting to whisper about whether Adam Silver might need to step in. Because technically, the WNBA still operates under the NBA's umbrella. And if things keep going south, Silver might have to make the call everyone's avoiding, replacing Kathy Engelbert. If that happens, it'll be the biggest shakeup the league has ever seen. And honestly, maybe it's time. Because whether you agree with Collier or not, the fact that so many players feel unheard tells you everything you need to know. So what's the final call? Is Caitlin Clark leading a necessary revolution? Or has this spiraled into pure chaos? Smash that like button, subscribe, and sound off in the comments.